Welcome to mental stretching. Yeah, all right, let's go. Yeah, I guess we things don't always go according to plan. So basically, this is an episode that we do after uh, or before our yoga sessions. But yesterday it got cut short a little bit, so we're doing it today instead. So yeah, that's cool.
Technically still after yoga, just with more time in between, more experiences in between. So, but
Exactly.
the
And
flexibility.
what even is yoga, right? Like is that the stretching or is it the state of mind or and also I thought about it like as it was happening yesterday, like with uh and it was like, but this is what it's about. This is like just accepting whatever it is, and I think that's more or less yoga in a nutshell, just accepting whatever is happening and being fine with it, just relaxing into it kind of and rolling with it. Hmm.
Yeah, not being so rigid with preference and opinion. And that's something this week I've been looking at a lot, like just how specific opinions and preferences and like just that attempt to control as much as it's like something we feel like we could possibly do. Like it's such a crazy thing when you really sit back and are like, control is assuming that like all of reality is able to be controlled by by me based on my opinion and my preference. Like we think it's a little thing, but really it's like connected to all the situations and experiences. And so even having an opinion, like it plays into so much. Like I want to I want to be feeling a certain way. I want to be, more ready for this or that based on, you know, how I think I'll be able to do, like what I think is best for me specifically. And it really does like cut off so much potential. Like it's such a unique, specific point of view. Like I think things should be going this way. It's like it's so irrelevant to what's actually going on. Like things are going on and we can be like, oh, they should be going this way and thinking we can like contort everything to do that. And there's a much easier sort of perspective to take, but it doesn't give you that hit of like, I know. I'm
Hmm.
for sure aware of this. And so like, of course it's easier to roll with the punches, when it isn't so tightly held or like at the forefront of my, everything that I do, like dictated based on that.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's like also like on top of that, I feel like when things aren't going according to like my ideal situation for me, it's like it's all also this kind of story that I put upon whatever's happening. It's like if, for example, someone says something or does something else, it's like it's almost like it's filtered through what does it mean about me? Like, you know what I mean? It's like this is about me. This is like that's happening because they don't want to be with me, or all these things. Like it's like it is all these crazy thoughts that are just building around the current situation, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, because as soon as you're seeing through that filter, it's like you kind of see everything through that filter. And it's like, oh, it narrows everything. Like, oh, it must be about me. If I know, then I know that certain things, like, or I'm just going to assume that certain things mean something about me. And that's going to be like my priority for everything that I do is like protecting that. Like, I know this and I'm going to maintain this. So I'm only going to do things that make me feel okay about this. Almost like a like a car, like if you have a car and it's like both looking back over your shoulder to like maintain certain things, but also focusing all of your perspective on like how's the car doing, how's it running, how's it look, instead of just using it for for what it's capable of, like to explore. And it's like you can explore a lot more when it's not like so finely looked at all the time and checked in on. Like how's my car look? How's my car look? Instead of like, no, my
Mm,
experience is moving through things. Like I don't have to focus so much on how the car is doing or how it looks. Is like that doesn't that doesn't help me with the next thing that's going to happen. Like
mm,
can't you can't properly prepare or be ready for what's next. You can't like prepare for the unknown or uncertainty by trying to like make it
mm,
like previous things. It's like you got to be willing to let go. And all of those opinions and preferences and how I think things should be going are like these known things. It's like it's all based on things that have happened. Like there's no way to do both in the same way, to like hold on to, no, I know things should be going this way. It's like, why? Like it's
mm.
such a massive perspective to like hold on to. Like I'm sure of this. It's like how could we be? How could we possibly be?
Yeah. No, we can't be. And it's just like I feel like when there's something coming up in kind of there's been like the last couple of months and also like in the coming months, I've had like these things in the calendar that I was kind of signed up for and kind of said, yeah, I'll do that, you know. And some of them are complete unknowns, you know. And I honestly I don't know how I'm gonna like do it, like perform it. I don't know. I have some idea, of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't have signed up. But it's like I've never done it before. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how it will be received or any of that stuff. And it's like it is super scary, but it's like because it is popping up in my mind quite often. Like, oh my god, I should cancel it, you know, or oh my god, how am I going to do this, or oh my god, I should, you know, change it or whatever. I don't even know even what it is, you know, but it's like, it's just, I don't know anything regarding that situation. I don't know how many people will come. I don't know who's going to come. I don't know if they absolutely hate it, you know, that will, even that is like, I don't know, maybe that's a good situation, you know, I just don't know. And it's just being able to sit in that extreme uncertainty of just something will happen, you know. And also uh, another event where it was similar. I was going to do this kind of singing ball thing, you know, with these singing balls for a bunch of people, and I was sure I'll do that, you know, just said it because it was an opportunity to do something that I was scared to do, basically, and I kind of wanted to do it as well. And then I was stressing, or I wasn't stressing that much, but I heard my thought kept like talking about it and trying to figure it out and making a plan. And then basically I just left it. I was like, just leave it. And then like on the same day that we was going to do it, I just said like, hey, does anyone like other instrumentalists want to join this session, you know? And then two people were like, yeah, sure. And then it became suddenly this kind of a group thing where we were doing it together. We'd never done anything like that before together, and it was just it became kind of a sound journey kind of a thing with drums. With like one had like a shamanic drum, and I had these singing balls, and it just became this impromptu thing out of nothing. It was so much fun, you know, to do it with absolutely no preparation. I didn't even know who was going to join, and it became a really cool experience from not knowing anything about it. And it's just daring to sit in it until the right moment, sort of. I kind of just I kind of I kind of knew that I didn't have to do anything. Or it felt like it was like I can just chill, you know, this will sort itself out. And it's like, oh, there's something about just sitting in the certainty and just really embracing it. It's not a bad feeling. It's just a lot of feeling. And you know what I mean? Anyway, I'll stop talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, dude. Because like we think we can get to that point where we're just like okay with what might happen or relaxed through preparation, but like the preparation is just getting us to a point where we feel exactly what you expressed. Like it's gonna go how it goes. It's gonna be okay. And like it's going to play out in some way, shape, or form. And I couldn't possibly come up with like the right way for it to go. Like I can't settle on that and sort of prepare in a direction. Like there's some degree, like if you want to, really. And even saying that, I'm like, I attempt to prepare for things for sure, less so now, like more so, way more rigidly. But if it is unknown how it's going to go and like how it's going to play out, who's going to show up, like there's so much uncertainty. And just to give like, it's like you got to assume how it's going to go and then set a certain path or trajectory or like path of preparation that's not specifically necessarily in the direction that's going to be best. But it's just like I'm doing something that makes me feel better, but it doesn't actually improve at all my ability to handle it. It's like maybe it could relax me a little bit more, like feel more okay. And like that's the thing that does it, but it's not the preparation itself. Like it's
Yeah.
not the ability to do that. But that's like just being able to do things like that when it's not so much about you. Like if you know going into a situation, there's no way that it's going to do anything to your value or your potential. Like there's so much more, like there's so many more exciting things on the table. Like there's so much more you can do. Like if you think of doing, community events or things that frighten you or get you nervous, like doing things like that in front of groups, like that's something that I definitely have hesitation towards, but that's always putting me first. Like it's making me the most important thing in a situation, like how I do, as if that's what's going to be what's best, instead of just doing it and letting the chips fall. And I saw a reel about this. Ray brought it up a couple of days ago too, but I just saw a video. Andrew Huberman mentioned like if there was one thing he wished everyone knew, like before he died, just like the whole world could understand, it was the part of your brain it's something and then mid-singular cortex, I think, and it's basically a part of your brain that's super malleable and improve like the functionality. It like improves your ability to face new things and handle new things, and it like plays into survival, and the way that it like builds upon itself is doing things that you don't want to do, like not necessarily hard things, like not things that you're like, oh well, an ice bath, working out, like those are really tough things, I'm putting myself through these things. But like if you're really looking at it and you're like, yeah, I kind of want to do that, instead of all the things that like really make you uncomfortable, like the things that deep down like are tougher to do. Because it's one, if you have like, if you're concerned about talking in front of big groups, like you could do hard things like doing an ice bath, you know, working out and all that stuff, but it's still not the thing you don't want to do. Like it has to
Mm.
be the things that you specifically like don't want to do, that you have big hesitation, that you're afraid of doing, that it like actually changes your brain, it shifts it, and it plays into, I think, a lot of being able to just like handle whatever happens, because you're purposefully like directing your attention into ways that you don't want. So that like when things do come up that aren't preference, like you're able to and like it, I think it probably cuts down on preferences, because a lot of the things we don't want to do are just things that we don't think we can handle. Like deep down, we might actually want to be able to do them, but like we don't want to take that step where it's scary and brand new and something we've never done before and never tried. And like all this idea of our value is on the line. Like if you don't have that initial perspective, like it's super important how I do, then it's like the potential really does open up. But I found that one fascinating, because I always liked, building myself and like making progress and improving and blah blah blah. And so even just knowing that kind of makes uncertainty into at least something that you can kind of like work on or build on. Not that that's like directing it necessarily, but it's kind of cool to know that like, oh, not doing what I want actually has a beneficial functionality, which totally makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that for sure. It's it's basically those things. I feel like for me, it's those things that where I've been really afraid, where I can kind of make a fool out of myself. That's like where I can not like make it a fool, you know, but more like where I deem myself to be like less somehow if I fail, you know. That's the kind of situations that I'm really afraid of. And it's like, but it's like you say, it's like the only reason it feels like a dangerous situation is because of this false idea that I have of myself that can be kind of judged, sort of. Because I was kind of thinking when you were talking earlier about if you if you want to go into a situation with a plan because you want to feel more relaxed and more certain. And I sometimes have this idea where I kind of have a couple of clones of myself in my room. You know, it's like it's me, and it's just we're hanging out, and it's like, how would I want to do it then? You know, for them, it's like for myself because it's like then it's also for me, you know. It's like because if I have a plan, really it's not for me. It's like then it's not really for me, then it's something for them. I'm gonna show them, you know, and I'm gonna and it's not for me at all. But if I don't really, I haven't planned it 100% out, you know, and I'm just ready to jump in. I know, like, you know, you always know sort of kind of what you're gonna do, I suppose. Not always, I guess, but yeah, so there's something about jumping in also for me, you know, because it's more fun, it's more interesting. Uh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it makes life a lot more exciting and interesting too. Like it's almost like it shifts it. It doesn't make it easier necessarily, but it opens it up a little bit more. And like I'll go through that at karaoke, for example. Like I'll be able to feel if I'm like trying to sing well. And it's like it feels like it's a selfish thing, but really it's not for me at all. Like it's not about how much fun I'm having. It's about me, performing well because I'm trying to control the external of what am I even trying to get out of that? Like people are gonna clap a little bit louder. Like what exactly is the outcome that I'm hoping for? Like people are gonna for anything, right? Like for any like doing well on a podcast episode in a conversation, interacting with someone, like what really am I trying to get from that? Is it just I think I'm just trying to avoid like like being like a deep fear of being ostracized, deep fear of being alone. Like it's really interesting when like for karaoke, for example, like what exactly am I trying to maintain? Sometimes it's just a perspective of myself deep down, like certainty about myself. And it's like it cuts off so much potential because when it's not about that, when it is just like, no, I'm singing for me, like having fun, like how much fun can I have while I'm singing? It's not so much a matter of how the voice sounds, and there's more relaxation there, like with the intention to like prove yourself, like
Mm.
sing well, whatever, for some outcome that I right now I'm like, I don't even know exactly what the outcome I'm looking for is. But when it is just about having fun, then it's like that's also the environment I'd prefer to be, like setting myself aside, like what kind of environment, what kind of people do I enjoy hanging out with? People who don't take themselves super seriously, and I'm seeing like, oh yeah, taking yourself really seriously, because I can definitely do that in a lot of ways, but it's like what really is the purpose of that? Like it's a massive trade to take life and yourself super seriously when it's like this insanely sort of valuable thing. Like my experience right now, like this is what I get. But it's so like when I try and make it about, you know, how I do or how someone perceives, as if there's a way to like guarantee that one way or another. And there's so many variations too, even just with karaoke, like someone seeing you do something like, and again, not that it would be for other people, but like when you're prioritizing being more of an environment, like it kind of frees you, and like you're the only one that can do that for yourself. Like no one else can really do that. Like it's on me to choose to like, you know, relax and have a little bit more fun and take myself less seriously. But there's ways to like almost play into that relaxation instead of like, I should be relaxed. It's like, I like, why am I not? Why would I not be enjoying or making the most of this situation when I do? And it's like relaxation is kind of a more of a byproduct of that than trying to like force something or prove something or like live up to some bar that's like in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that as well. It's yeah. No, the seriousness. I mean, yeah. I feel like because that's the funny thing about yoga as well. And I've been thinking a bit about it in terms of actually this show here, and it's like because there is a very serious tone to it, sort of. It's like it's very ritualistic, and it's very like, you know, typically it is, and it's like, yeah, but it's like, what are we doing it for? You know, what are we doing it? It's like, it, so I'm like, yeah, it's like because I've been noticing like it's like because you sometimes like say a little bit throughout the class and stuff, and I enjoy that, but I'm a little bit surprised. You know, I get a little bit taken out of my kind of focus, my bubble, my yoga kind of rhythm and voice and everything. It's just it's really funny because I yeah, so it just makes me think, you know, this serious thing, but it's like but then again, like I do feel like, for example, being really relaxed is helping me, like kind of go into kind of the it's attention, I guess. So it's like a bit more like just being attentive, you know, rather than being serious about it, you know, and just have fun. And it doesn't matter, you know, uh, what's kind of going on. You can still have attention on something, like even though yeah, yeah. I don't know. Just some thoughts that popped up there
Oh,
on that series. Yeah.
for sure. I just thought of attention and tension, like you're giving yourself attention and how you're doing. It's like there's going to be tension. There's going to be a tension that goes with like a space tension that goes with attention on yourself. And if attention is not on yourself so much, and there's like more like of a that's like focus on what's actually happening, like that's what's actually going on. But you very much like if the attention's on you and how you're doing and opinion and all that, like you feel that like there's tension
Mm,
in yourself, very much so. But like
mm,
it's a great question. Like what are we getting out of like a yoga session, a night out with friends, like a day of work, just like living a day, you know, like what exactly are we hoping to get from like fucking tightly winding myself and taking it seriously? It's like, what's the payoff? Like, where's the payoff? Like, where does it exist exactly? Like a yoga class, for example, like taking that super seriously, it's like, what are you, what are you getting afterwards? Like, you achieved a yoga session and did it well and perfectly based on
mm,
some standard. It's like, what exactly, like, what's the payoff to doing things like correctly and well? And it's like that deeply seated, you know, school kind of teaches us, religion can certainly do it. Like, you get a gold star, you get a good grade, but like that goes away. But it's like still in here, like, I'm going to give myself a gold star for the day based on you know how things go and it's like what is the payoff? I don't know, like I've never really
yeah.
wondered like what the fuck
Yeah.
is
It's like,
actually the point of taking life seriously, period. Like where's
yeah.
that payoff exist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a crazy thought. I just imagine like the calendar of the month, you know, putting gold star there every night, just like, well done, you know, you've done everything right today. Excellent. It's like, no, it's yeah, yeah. But I don't know, you know. I don't I feel like there's not any payoff, but still I lived my life that way for so long. And
Like
to some degree still do, you know. It's like okay, yeah, I don't know, but it's like I'm just wondering a little bit about because serious in my head has become like kind of a negative connotation, but it's like it's not like the whole day should just be like happy and laughter, and you know what I mean. It's like there, it makes sense to have like periods of where you get shit done basically, and just kind of do stuff that are uh, yeah, you can still want to do something and yeah, not take it too seriously, I guess. I think that's where it is. Like, okay, yeah, I want to do this, you know, because it's interesting. It's happening stuff here. You never know. Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm just rambling.
No, that's all. That's all we got, dude. That's all. Well, like it's like taking your experience seriously. Like if you're doing, want to work through some stuff, like taking that seriously instead of yourself and how you're doing. So it's almost like directing the seriousness, like taking reality seriously or taking yourself seriously and how you're doing and how you're measuring yourself and how you're living up to, assumptions about how everyone else is doing, like this perspective of even doing well. Like that's my personal perspective, and there can be people who tell me, the right way to live, what should or shouldn't be happening, but like even someone telling someone else like, oh, this is the right way. And it's like, maybe for you, sure, but like how could you possibly translate that into my experience? Like our experiences are so unique to expect someone to like follow someone else's perspective and actually get the most out of life and experience and trying to maintain like the right way. There's no way it could be of crossover. And so trying to hold the world to like standards of right way and correct way, it's like no wonder it's like there isn't much attention on what's going on. It's like if I'm trying to live life the right way, then like trying to kind of control things into being the easiest way for it to be the right way. And then it's just like experience gets very, very small and specific and rigid and like with all these fucking borders. But yeah, like looking around and so then it goes both ways, like looking around for the right way. It's like, that seemed like the way to do it for a long time. Like look to someone else. And if that's not really an option, then it's like might as well kind of start with me with doing things, but then being willing to make choices and like just be cool with that because I'm cool with that. And like that's it. Like that's who I ask, that's who I question. Like, am I good with this? Like deep down, there is a sense of like, yeah, this makes sense now. This makes sense now. And I think there's certain things like even thoughts, like random ones will flutter up and it's like, yeah, this makes sense to do now. And then there can sometimes be like, oh, but I don't feel like doing that now, or I'm going to do something else that like I have a preference towards, or
Yeah.
like I'll do that later. You kind of feel that. And it's because the thing that popped up, like, isn't necessarily maybe a familiar thing or a thing that you've done before or tried before, but following that, it's like following your intuition. There's something there, I think that, if you just keep following that,
Hmm.
it's prioritizing your experience more so instead of like giving yourself that hit of, well, no, I know this thing's
Yeah.
better. It's like based on what you staying more comfortable, you feeling like you can handle something else a little bit better, but that doesn't actually, you know, not to like push you towards your ultimate potential or anything, but like it's kind of something that you've done before a lot of times and it's not a new thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel it's like it's about understanding that there's a difference between like prioritizing your experience and prioritizing your comfort. It's like because I feel that so much these days. It's like because I'm uncomfortable a lot of the time, because it's like it's a lot of things happening and I'm like being more visible and I'm just feeling myself like doing some stories and stuff, like trying to kind of just put out some simple things, and that just it feels like if I didn't think so much about me, it wouldn't be a problem. But then it's like ooh, who looked at it, and oh my god, what will they think, and all this shit. And it's just, it's so silly, but it's like, that's the thing. Like, that's just me staying in the comfort bubble and just thinking about myself, to be honest. Like, but it's, yeah, I can feel that when I'm not doing that, things are flowing because that's what I feel. It's like this is an opportunity to do something quick. Just, it's like I feel there's so many opportunities to kind of just be who I am now. But it's like there is a part of me that is kind of holding back and just kind of, oh, are we sure about that? Maybe, we'll do it later. Then it will be better, and then we'll edit it out. It will edit it a little bit, and all this shit like that comes with it. And I can really feel it that I'm like, I can feel that it's kind of a wave that I can choose to just kind of run with and just and just hear it, because I'm literally all the time feeling that there are these effortless things I can do, but it's literally just my ego holding back, wanting to control, wanting to make sure, wanting to wait. And waiting always means it's not happening. Like I feel that's just, yeah.
It's like do it later. And it's like, yeah, but how's your experience going to be knowing? Because no one else knows, but like, what you're not doing or what you're not sharing or what you're not posting or why you're not doing it. Like, you can't escape. Like, once you're starting to be like looking at yourself more, being more self-honest, like, you can't unsee that. Like, you can't like put stuff back in your way to think like, oh no, that's not, well, I don't really know that if that's really what I want to do or should do. And it's like, I kind of do, because I go through the same stuff. Like, I'm feeling way more just like vulnerable in a lot of ways. Like, I'm living my life like for me for the first time without looking for validation from like people throughout my entire life that I look to for validation, for like, this is the right way, this is how you live, you do these things, you don't do these things, you act this way. And it's like, that doesn't fucking exist. Like, that whole idea of like how you should be living life, like, it doesn't exist. But that feeling of, oh, what are these or that people gonna think? Like, and then like with the editing, even, it's like, no, this'll be better for them. And there's so many, like, especially looking back, it's interesting, like looking back at old videos and just having like, 4 years of documentation of like different parts of my life, like different things when I was focused on different things, when I was talking about different things. And there were points where I was like, oh yeah, this sounds great to put it like this and edit it like this. And like looking back, there was no guarantee of that one way or the other. Even if I was able to, control a video into getting a bunch of views and like structuring it in a certain way, it's like that wasn't about my experience. That wasn't really even, but it also wasn't even really about anyone else. It was about me. Like, this feels best for me, but not my experience at all. Like, I'm trading everything to try and have that control of like, no, I know that if this video, blows up and goes viral and like X amount of people follow from this because I have the correct, statement here and this here and that here, it's like, then what? Then what exactly? Like, where exactly down the road is that guaranteeing anything? And it's not. Like, it doesn't necessarily do that. And there's a time and a place for, the structure for taking things seriously, but with an intention too, I think. And like, it's an option, of course. Like, if I want to edit and curate a video a little bit more, understanding that like, you know, things could like get more views or whatever, like, there's nothing wrong with that also. But it's like, how much is that the focus, and like why, and where is it coming from? Because I know that deep down. Like, I always know that deep down, and why something is happening. And so like looking at that and being more self-honest about it, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to hide sides of myself. And when I am like worried about what someone's gonna think, like, it's usually, I think of a group, like multiple people also, and like those don't exist either. Like, I'm only ever speaking to individuals, and maybe they'll group together and like assume they see things in the same way or know the same things, but like it's still just always one person that I'm expressing to. And like I don't know people's feeling situations, where they're at, how they see things, like how they're viewing things, what something, because everyone has such a depth to their experience too, to assume that, I can control their perspective one way or the
Mm,
other. It's like we don't really know how anyone else is changing, or how they're viewing things, or how they're viewing themselves, or what they're, going through in their life. And so trying to like control myself and what I express and what I share, it's like it's futile. It's like super futile, because it doesn't guarantee one way or the other, besides, me trading my experience in a lot of ways, like trading my life for that sense of control, instead
mm,
of being willing to not believe that it could be the case, or that I could even possibly know what's best.
yeah, yeah, and also like because I relate a lot to like thinking about often specific people as well, but like it's like most like it will not please everybody. Like that's 100% certain. But like, but how much am I willing to kind of trade of myself to like meet the bigger audience, right? It's like because that's really kind of what it comes down to. Because yeah, it's yeah, I think yeah, you will be judged, sort of. Like what I mean. It's like people will think, "What the hell?" Like honestly, like a friend of mine, we went out for a beer a couple of days ago, and like, or maybe a couple of beers in, she was just like, "Yeah," she was like, and it came up that people had kind of been asking her, like, "Is Levi okay?" Because basically, like the long hair, the clips on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that, and I'm like, it's interesting. I kind of understand that that is happening, but it's kind of shocking to hear that people are coming to her like, how's it going? It's like, it's really funny, and it's just really all it is just me being more me, and that's just unusual. So yeah.
Yeah, people really like to maintain their perspectives of people. I got a lot of those comments when I first started posting on social media, very similarly, like, messages from friends like, "Hey, what's going on? You trying to be an influencer? Like, what's happening?" And then, over time, as things shifted and changed, like those kind of went away. And then some of those people would like reach out about other stuff that had nothing to do. And so like a lot of times those initial periods of shifts and changes, like they bring about questions and like concerns, because and it's so interesting too for people to ask, like, are you doing all right, you're doing okay, because it's like there is, I don't know, sort of a difference when you're actually like being honest with yourself and talking about your experience, instead of, you know, distracting so much and like, you know, focusing on sports and politics and news. And like, it's not to say don't do those things necessarily, but they can fill your day pretty easily with no sense of like, not like how you're doing or what you're expressing or what you're sharing, but it's like always sharing someone else's perspective to some degree, or someone else's experience, or watching someone else's experience, or, you know, even watching sports. Like I grew up doing a decent amount of that, but was never really that crazy about it. It's like watching someone else live their
Mhm.
life, like watching someone else play a game, instead of, playing a game yourself, instead of like fully experiencing, your experience, and doing things. But that then puts you on the line. Like if you go try a new sport, like that can be scary, because like you're not going to be great at it. But like, who are you trying to be great for? What is the point? Like, what is the purpose I'm trying to get out of this experience? Like, is it to maintain doing well all the time? Like, in order to do that, I have to keep doing the same stuff. I have to keep not trying new things if I want to hold on to that. And if I'm willing not to, then like, yeah, all the options open back up. Like you can see more, you can feel more, but it's yeah, it's not prioritizing like how I'm doing or how I think I should be doing or what I think what even I think is best, like all those things I've held dearly, you know, my opinion, my preference, my perspective, my idea of what should or shouldn't be happening, like what I want to be doing, what I don't want to be doing. It's like there's such tiny, minuscule, like little blips in the world, but like I can zoom all of my attention in on that. And it's like so irrelevant. It's like a phantom sort of ghost, that perspective and opinion. And it has nothing to do with like my life and like my actual experience, but it can continue to get in the way. Like I can continue like putting up that wall to certain things based on, you know, me, my perspective, like how I want to feel like I'm doing, because it's still not even how I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a solid place to wrap up. We went over a typical mental stretching amount of time,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
an incredible chat, Levi.
Yeah. I appreciate that in the chat for sure. Yeah.
And I appreciate you leading the yoga. And we got Levi with Levi for anyone who hasn't checked that out. Episode 1 is out. More to come. Awesome episode about, you know, food habits. And I resonated with that so much. The food stuff, like the thoughts and how it's like it's just the thought. And I've paid so much attention to those. And it's like, well, why not just eat this little thing?
Yeah.
Like it can't hurt. And
Yeah.
it's like, but it's something I want. It's like there's a little bit of
Yeah.
that mid-singular cortex sort of thing where it's like, don't do that. There's a shift. It's like, oh, I don't have to pay so much attention to my thoughts. Because it's the same sort of thing when I'm assuming or I'm afraid of something. It's like those are thoughts too. It's like the food is another way to almost like practice that. Not like that it's easier because that pull sometimes can be really strong, but it's
Oh yeah.
still an option. Like I don't have to pay attention to that then either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So check that one out. It will come. I will record a new one pretty soon because I'm feeling some stuff I wanna flush out. I guess so. And I'll also do some self promotion, which which feels very dangerous, but I will jump into it. So yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah.
Dig into that. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not? I know I'm like ready to get back into more of a chat, but we'll we'll cut it off here.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
We'll be
Yeah.
talking again soon. So appreciate everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.